Hey, we're here. We're live. Can you hear me all right? Let me know if the audio is coming through because we've got a different setup than last week. I need to share the link to this to let everyone know that we're live. Can you hear me? Now the chat's coming through. I don't know what kind of delay there is, but let me know if you can hear me. I need to share that we are live. Loud and clear. Audio sounds amazing. Beautiful. Thank you all. I've noticed it helps to let people know that you're live. I've found out that helps get people here. So let me share that to Instagram. Okay. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you. The old camera guy. Hey, good to see you, man. We can hear Metal Fingers. Good to see you, man. Richard, thanks for being here. Look at that channel member badge, dude. Appreciate you all being here. How cold is it? It is right now. We're in the upper 50s. It looks like. I think that's 58. The heater is at, you can actually, yeah, you can see it. It's right up there in the corner, the little red light. It's at a weird angle. I'm going to redo the insulation up there in that part of the ceiling because the heater, Tyler and I, we rushed to finish. That was the last bit of insulation on the ceiling was where the heater was. And we were just like, let's just get it up and finished. And I'm going to take that board down and redo that at some point. But yeah, it's in the upper 50s. Love the workbenches. Yeah, man, these Husky, I've had these Husky workbenches for 4 years, at least one of them for 4 years, I think. Or wait, no, that's 3 years. Regardless, these things are great. I actually am planning on doing a video where we completely empty. So this one right here, the larger shelf or the larger drawers, this one is full of mostly printing supplies and prints as well. And then this one is mostly gear / catch-all / actually, I think, yeah. One of the drawers is just full of old Game Boys that Elliot and I have built, where we've modded them and stuff. So that's one drawer, is all of those supplies. I need to essentially take everything out and fully reorganize everything in there. So I'm planning on doing that and just sharing that in a video if that sounds interesting. I like watching other people, basically just seeing how they organize their spaces and how they have things set up. And I like seeing the kind of natural clutter and catch-all that some of that stuff is. It's just fun to watch people go through that kind of stuff. And there are so many prints in here from the darkroom, printing in the darkroom at the old house 10 plus years ago. That's crazy. I've got a bunch of those, as well as a bunch of old prints that friends and I traded every Sunday. That used to be my darkroom day. And so being able to take time to make prints each week. And then there were several friends that I would always swap prints with. That was just when I had time to do that kind of stuff, but it was super fun. But I've got all of that stuff in there as well. So yeah, I think it'd be fun to just do organize with me / let's see what random stuff we find, and it'll be a little show and tell. But the gear area, all of these drawers, I have it somewhat organized, but the two bottom bins are genuinely it's embarrassing how much of a catch-all they've become. At the bottom, there's a camera here and a camera there, but it's mostly old Polaroid cameras from when I was younger. I don't really have that much gear. It's all little accessories that are just filling everything in there. A lot of grip and sort of rig, tripod, all grip equipment. That's just full of that kind of stuff in there. Let me read some chat here and catch up. Go fund me for the barn heater. No, the barn heater is good. The pellet stove, yeah. The color, or the I was reading that up there. The color is great. Yeah, this heater is working well. Eventually, I think I am either going to do a mini split, or that's kind of been the plan. So I would have heat and air through the mini split. I was hoping to do that sometime in the spring, maybe, but I don't know yet. We'll see. If I don't do that, then by next winter, I'll definitely put in a wood stove, because my neighbor, he's got one in his barn, and I went over there to kind of see how he had his installed and how well it works. And that thing would definitely heat this space up plenty, because his barn is bigger than this. But this little heater, it's getting me by for now. Oh, Chris Visser, it's good to see you, brother. Zaddy day. Glad you're here, man. Cleaned out my photo shelf in the closet and found prints from college that I forgot about. Oh, nice. Graduated in December of 2019. Man, I'm only 34, but that makes me feel old. Appreciate that. Thank you. Bob. What's up, Alex? Sup, Matt? About to put my hands in a dark bag, but getting my portrait taken with my partner tomorrow for a pregnancy shoot. Any advice stepping in front of the lens and avoiding the cringe? Well, congratulations again. That's exciting for you guys. Be yourself. Like, this is hard for me, because every time I sit down in front of the camera, I still am like, you cringe. I overthink about how I'm going to be perceived or how I'm going to say things, all of that kind of stuff. And you have to just let go of that. And that's for me on video. For photography, it's even less, I think. Just relax. Like, think about, they're your photos, and these photos are going to mean something, especially like years down the road. You're going to remember feeling awkward. So like, I feel like if you acknowledge that you feel awkward and just let yourself sit in that, and like not try to overcompensate by not, you know what I'm saying? Like, trying to think how to word this. Because I'm trying to think back to like when I would do engagement photos and wedding photos, when people would not feel comfortable. Like, I get that. So I can empathize with that. And if you acknowledge it and you're able to just like, hey, this is uncomfortable, this is funny. If you're able to at least laugh at yourself in that, then that's going to help you get more comfortable. Plus, if you're laughing and just being yourself on camera, the photographer should be able to work with that, and they'll have a field day with it. So hope that helps. But again, congrats. Matt, do I see 3 of the Husky organizers back there? Yeah, only 2. I did have a smaller black Husky chest like this, but I got rid of it when I switched to these two big dogs. They work great. Have you seen the sneak peek of the new Yashica coming out? What? No, I haven't. But if it's anything like, what did Yashica, or it wasn't Yashica, but was it? I can't remember how it went. It was within the last year or two, maybe. I could be off on that. Time works different nowadays. But whatever the little Yashica, we're back kind of thing, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I have not seen the sneak peek, so I could be totally off. But if it's anything like that, I'll pass. Do you have a photo book that was so much not to your taste that you learned something from that experience? Oh, I love that question. That's actually something I've been thinking about lately, because I want to do, or I've wanted to do sort of a roundabout video on like, no matter what kind of photography you're into, you'll find something amongst this selection of books. Like I want to put together somewhat of a list of, depending on what you're into. And I think that that's a big part of it for me. Like if I don't sit down with a book that maybe it's work that I'm not interested in, if I at least sit down with it, I'm taking in something. I'm not just scrolling past it and like immediately on to something else, like if I were interacting with it in that way. But if it's a book that I'm not into, I'm more likely to like spend more time with it, just because you're going to, with a physical kind of book. So yeah, I feel like I'm trying to think. I'm sure there are some books. I mean, to be honest with you, Tim Carpenter, one of my favorite books, Christmas Day, Bucks Pond Road. I've talked about it like 1,000 times on the channel. So I try not to anymore because it's probably getting old to people. But Tim Carpenter's work, when I first saw his, one of my best friends, Kevin, he showed me Local Objects, which is a different book of Tim's, which I don't have. But when I first looked at that, I was like, yeah, I don't get it. It looked to me like, it was like, okay, I don't even know how to describe it, because it was the kind of stuff that I like to shoot, but I just didn't, I guess, consider it presented in that way. Maybe that kind of taught me some of like, you don't need more. You don't always need more. You don't need the most or the biggest or the most anything. There's a real like surrendering to just whatever you have in front of you with Tim Carpenter's work, where he's making do with literally what's in front of him. At least that's like how it feels to me, where it feels enough without it being so heavy-handed and like try hard. I hope that makes sense. But I think that that's a big part of like finding books that you genuinely or generally wouldn't spend time with, or work that you wouldn't generally consume. Maybe that makes sense. I feel like in general, if you're looking at it in book form, you're going to spend more time with it and probably be more receptive to it. I hope that makes sense. Trevor, miss you as well. Appreciate that, man. Yeah, the barn is it is as good as ever. It needs some love. The issue right now, actually, check it out. Amazing. Can I keep going? Hello. I believe you said something about a bomb going off with your camera gear earlier, Matt. Yeah, the barn right now is in total disarray because with all of the snow and ice and everything that we've had, I haven't opened up the barn door in a couple of months. And so as a result of that, like, I haven't been able to move the golf cart out, the mower. We're also now, I'm storing stuff that belongs to family of ours while they're not like here and able to keep it. So I've got everything on a pallet of theirs over here as well. So it's like there's plenty of stuff that's just stored and stacked up because I haven't been able to, I have to move things out in order to finish working on the wall and tearing down these shelves. And I managed to get a little bit of work done over there one night. It was like the middle of all of the snow and ice and hadn't been outside, and I just needed to do something. And so I was like taking down shelves and putting up insulation in that corner, working with like this much space on each side of me. But you know, it's coming together. I'm ready. I believe possibly this weekend I'm going to be able to take some time and it's going to be nice enough, like warm enough to open up the doors, pull some things out, and really make a little more progress on this end of the barn. Back here, like my YouTube studio area. I'm super happy with this area. I still need to finish the insulation up top, but again, I need to finish a lot of insulation. This little gap is the least of my worries right now. There's a giant area that needs addressed. So little by little, we're getting there. Saturday is Vivian Meyer's birthday. It should be Get Out and Photo or Street Photography Day. I saw a book. I went to Barnes and Noble the other day. I actually picked up a book all about collage art and have been playing and doing a lot of that stuff lately just for fun and incorporating photography into it. And I'm having a blast with that. But we were at Barnes and Noble, and I was just looking at the photo book section, and I saw there was a color book of Vivian Meyer's, and I'd never seen that before, and I was pretty interested in it, but I was only going to buy one book that day, and I've got enough photo books, so I bought the collage art book. It's cool because like the book itself, there's like some history on different collage artists, but then it's like a big material book, so that's just full of stuff that you can cut out and work with. So just a fun, easy way to like get started. And now I'm like thinking about everything that I want to use, both photos I've made, family photos. Jim Goldberg's Coming and Going book is a huge like light bulb sort of like source of inspiration for that kind of stuff. But yeah. Oh, Mel, amazing. Thank you. Look at that. Welcome to that's the thing. It feels weird. I don't have a name for the channel. It's just my name. So like Matt Day channel members, I feel bad. You've got to, just call it that. I wish I had a cooler name for you to be here, but I appreciate you. Thanks for joining. Let's see. Going to leave after you answer this question. Had a long day. How do you deal with confrontation in a small town? I don't have really any confrontation or have had to deal with confrontation in a small town, but I'm not doing like street photography or anything like that. If I'm photographing people, it's most likely I'm sitting there like engaging with them. So I haven't really had to deal with that. I'm trying to think. There was one guy who got really bugged out by Molly and I. Molly and I were walking around town with our cameras. This was like 10, maybe 9 years ago. It was before we had kids, so 10. Jesus. We were walking around, and this guy was like kind of weirded out because we had cameras. He was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "We're not doing anything. We're just walking around." And he's like, "Why do you have cameras?" And we're like, "We're just walking, And I was like, "All right, we were still walking." And he was like, whoa, hold on. And I'm like, "No, we're good. Just stay back." Cause he was starting to like, he was getting really weird about like the space around us. As we were walking past, he started to get real like uneasy. And I think he was just like, he was probably messed up on something. I don't know. But that was the only time where, and we kept walking. I told him to stay back. And then he like basically shouted at us as we kept walking. That was really the only time I've ever had something. And that wasn't even like, I wasn't taking a photo of him. We were just out walking. Well, I don't even think we had stopped to take photos. We just had our cameras out, and he got kind of weirded out. But he was like, at least at the time, I thought this guy is either my age or younger. So like early 20s. I don't know. I don't know what he was freaked out about. But that was really like the only time I've ever had to deal with anything like that. I missed one. Okay, yeah, Mel, this one. I knew I missed an ADHD one. That's fitting. You've mentioned having ADHD before. Any tips, strategies on staying focused on the more tedious... Why? Okay, there we go. It was blocking. On the more tedious aspects of the profession. I got diagnosed last year. So the more tedious aspects of the profession, if you can give me a little bit more insight into that specifically, I can try to help with that. But tips and strategies in general on staying focused. This is tough for me as well, because there was a lot about my like childhood and my brain and how everything that like, I don't think I definitely didn't realize until I was an adult. And then in the last probably 5 or so years was like the first time I started learning more about ADHD and being able to learn more about that, and things started clicking, being like, oh, that's why XYZ, like a million different things. And since then, it's almost like uh, I have to think about, I have to do it in a way where it's like I'm trying to take care of myself as if I'm literally another person. Maybe it's just like the parenthood thing, but it's like I have to think about like, okay, what does Matt need in order to not mess this up, not forget this, not whatever. Um, and I try to think about it that way, and keeping a pocket notebook like always with you, even if it's not that, just using your phone, like keeping notes and keeping a log of everything, like running lists of ideas you have, things you need to do, um, literally anything at all. The easier it is for you to like have that thought and then put it down for wherever you're going to revisit it later. That to me is crucial. And I will literally at times write to myself as if I'm like giving myself direction or orders. Like if I know I need to work on something and I can hear myself like in the future when I get to that point, if I can feel myself start to like come up with reasoning to change it or wiggle with this a little bit, or maybe put it off and move the schedule around, like it's really easy for me to, especially with my things, if it's not something that the kids need or the family needs, like it's easy for me to put it off, and it'll get done when it gets done. Um, if I'm writing in my notes, I will literally be like, this is not negotiable. I won't use that specifically, but just like quick bullet note sort of thing, like this has to be done, no excuses, like whatever, by whatever time, and give myself that deadline. And if I write it down, I'm so much more likely to stick to it because it's going to be staring at me in my notebook and my notes app. That's another thing I think I like a lot about the physical notebook for stuff like that is it's a lot easier to just backspace or delete the note and you never have to see it again. Whereas because I like the physical things and I like a record of things and having the, things being documented, I have all of these old notebooks. So I don't want to look back and be like, yeah, all of these boxes are left unchecked. So that's another just sort of like mental motivator, I think, if that makes sense. How can one have enough photo books? One can have enough when I don't get to spend half as much time as I should with most of these books. I will definitely have more time when Forrest is a little bit older. Right now he's 2.5. He'll be 3 in May, which is crazy. But right now he's at the stage where like he is glued to me on my lap, climbing all over me at all times when I'm inside the house. So now, especially like Monday through Friday, I'm, the stay-at-home dad, basically. Like me and Forrest are home Monday through Friday while Molly is now at work and the kids are at school. So he's with me all day long, and trying to do anything in that time, especially holding a book like this, it would take him 2 seconds to just grab a page and immediately just start ripping pages out because he doesn't know any better. So yeah, once he's a little bit older, I'm sure it'll be a lot easier for me to bring a stack of books in with me and just sit down on the couch and enjoy them. But right now, like when I sit down to look at books and share the books on the channel, it's like you guys are literally sharing or enjoying the books with me as I get to. Anytime I get to make a video about photo books, that's like a good excuse for me to make that time. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, well, it's what I do. It's part of the thing. I get to just sit here and enjoy the books with all of you. So that's another nice bonus of it. Hey, Matt, I've been watching your channel for almost 8 years. I've learned a lot about photography, parenting, and English too. That's amazing. Love your honesty in front of the camera. Greetings from Chile. I appreciate that. That's super cool to hear. That's crazy. Almost 8 years. It's nuts. Like I feel like I talk about it all the time, but I've been thinking about that lately. Like this is my 11th year on YouTube. What else can I talk about? Like that's how it feels sometimes. But that's what I love about stuff like this is if you give me a question, you're gonna have to tell me to shut up at some point because I'm just gonna keep talking. But it's a lot easier for me to do this than it is just sitting and talking to the camera. So this is great. All the Instagram scheduling and stuff like that. Oh man. I've also started carrying around field notes at all times in an effort to organize myself more. Hell yeah. That's the way to do it. I have tried so many different size notebooks and kinds of notebooks. I'm a nerd on paper and pens and inks, even pencils. Like I love that kind of stuff. And I love journaling. I love all stationery, everything. I'm a full nerd when it comes to that kind of stuff. But a pencil and field notes, or a pen and a field notes, like as simple as it gets, there's something about it. I'm a massive fan of Aaron Draplin, so like I'm a sucker for that and just the whole design of field notes, but they're practical. There's a ruler on the back of it that I've used countless times. Like when I need to get a random measurement here in the barn, I've used that when I've had it in my pocket and didn't have, a ruler in reach or tape measure. It's just a handy little pocket notebook. Yeah, it's great. When's the conditioner sponsorship? It is funny. The last time I had long hair, I did a sponsored post on Instagram for Dove, Dove for Men. I need to get that again. No joke. When when that happened, Dove had been emailing me, or someone. I don't think it was like a Dove. It was whoever their marketing thing was. But the person from the marketing thing, they'd been emailing me for a while. I finally heard them out and was like, what is it? What are you interested in? Because it was just such a like far out of left field thing that I was just not gonna do it. But then our refrigerator went out like the weekend that they got back to me and told me about the thing. And I was just like, okay. And it was $700. That's what I got paid for it. And that immediately, like that took care of the refrigerator problem, where I was like, cool, that's what the new fridge is going to cost. And so it'll basically just we'll stay above water here without having to, fork out a bunch for a new fridge just on the spot. So it's whatever it takes. If I get a new Dove sponsorship, get a little bit of more insulation, maybe, we'll see. Let's see here. Oh, Tactile Turn. I see their mention. Yeah. So, Chris, what's your favorite pen? Right now, my favorite pen, honestly, I haven't been using pens that much, but I did get a book by Josh Katz. Where is that? Here it is. Amazing. Actually, speaking of, this is funny, the collage stuff that we were talking about earlier. This came in the mail. I had pre-ordered it a while ago, or ordered it whenever it came out. But it arrived in the mail the same day that I got that book on collage art. And this is super rad. There's so much different kinds of material and media in here. And it's all about this trip that Josh went on. And there's tons of like journaling that is shared in here. The Art of Showing Up by Josh Katz. I'm assuming it's hopefully still available. If it looks like you're into it, it's all in Hawaii. Super, super rad. And it came with these little Bic pens that just say The Art of Showing Up. And it's nothing fancy. It's just your standard Bic ballpoint pen. but I appreciated that. And I was like, and I didn't know it was coming with the book, but when I got this, I was like, I'm going to use one of these. It's nothing fancy. I've got a whole thing of fountain pens that are just sitting there, not getting used these days. Because most of the time I am using this little tactile turn pencil. This thing is amazing. I love it. I've been using it for years. Great. Love it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Mostly that and this little pen. I do have another tactile turn pen. I think it's in the house, but it's great. I love tactile turn stuff. Tyler, hey, you got $1? Has anybody seen what's his name? Tyler, do you remember his name? There's a dude from Urbana, Ohio on Instagram. Go up to people, you got $1? I can't think of his name. Let's see. Tried the Ago film processor for the first time today. Sorry, Christian, I'm just now seeing that. That's awesome, man. Yeah, Tyler and I, speaking of, we're going to be putting that thing to use hopefully next week. We have not been, oh, love you, Chris. Thanks for hanging, man. Damon Darling, that's it. Good looking out, Tyler. That dude's so funny. But Tyler and I, hopefully next week, he just bought some C41 chemicals and we are going to be developing on stream. Tyler is going to be learning how to develop for the very first time. He's never developed film, and he volunteered to do it on stream sometime because I want to do more stuff like that. And Tyler was like, I've got some film I've been wanting to learn. And I was like, yeah, let's make it happen. So he ordered some chemicals. I brought my stuff out. I think next week it should be decently warm enough in here. And as long as we, have all of our stuff in here where it's going to stay at a, stable temperature, we should be good to go. But it's going to be fun. Let's see. Let me get back up here because I know I missed some while I was yapping. Maybe you should film yourself doing flip throughs for you. You can sit and watch the videos yourself. That's a good idea, actually. Knock out a bunch of videos and then I can see them at any time. Let's see. What is your go-to pen these days? Oh, yeah, I answered that one. And the size field notes is just the standard size. Right here. I have these memo book ones. They're like this orange. I really like this cover. And all of the pages are perforated, which is unusual. And I don't really use that. But I appreciate that it's there just in case I want to take a page out. But I like those ones a lot. I just like those covers. Let's see. If you don't have the Draplin book, that's an excellent one. Yeah, I have that one. Here it is. For any graphic design nerds, or if you're just a fan of Aaron Draplin, it's a great, great book. And I'm not a designer at all, but it's awesome. Let's see. Do you think filmmakers should use older cameras? Sometimes I feel like movies have the same tone and look too clean. Lately, there for a while, I kind of went through a period where like I wasn't watching many movies or shows. Lately, I've been watching Better Call Saul because my brother has been telling me since the whole time the show ran, he was telling me to watch it. And I just, in the last week or so, have started it, and the way that show is shot, I love it. And I feel like I've been paying more attention to it because of that show. And now when I'm watching other things or whatever's on the TV, I've been a lot more like I feel like I've been paying more attention to stuff like that, whereas I typically wouldn't. And I feel like sometimes whatever, I don't know. So I get what you're saying. I don't know necessarily about the older cameras versus that. I don't know enough about cinema cameras and all of that to have a real opinion on it. But I get what you're saying. Like, I do like when there's a heavier style rather than like we're just shooting for cleanliness or perfection, I guess. So I do appreciate when things are a little rougher around the edges, if it has any sort of like signature look. I'm seeing the Breaking Bad stuff here. Yeah, the Breaking Bad in Mexico, where everything is like, it looks like a Mountain Dew commercial. You know, it's all like super neon yellow, orange tinted, and green in a weird way, but it looks awesome. Like it's cool. It doesn't bother me at all. So yeah, I like stuff like that. And yeah, I did watch Breaking Bad. I didn't watch it until 2018. When I got sick and I couldn't really do anything, I spent so much time just sitting around basically. So I watched several things that I just had put off for years. And my brother, like when Breaking Bad came out and the whole time it was running, he was telling me like, I'm telling you, watch it, you know. And it was just one of those, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but I've got to watch, you know, a couple seasons or few seasons to get caught up, whatever. Just kept putting it off. 2018, I watched it and just like it blew me away. It was one of those where I'm like, I'm angry at myself that I put it off for so long, but I just rewatched it not too long ago for the first time since then. And I was like, yeah, I forgot how good it was. And that's what made me want to finally watch Better Call Saul. And so I've been watching that, and I'm already on season 4. And holy, that show, I think it's probably recency bias because it's all new to me right now, but it could easily be better than Breaking Bad, I think. Maybe not easily. I shouldn't say that, but it's so good. Another series of movies that I've never seen ever is The Lord of the Rings. And that's one that people tell me all the time that I need to watch. And I'm like, yeah. Eventually, one of these days, I'll watch them all. My brother, again, has been telling me that forever. He's a huge movie buff. And there's a bunch of them that are just, for some reason, they're missing. And I just haven't taken the time. Oh, Kevin, what up, player? True Detective, that's another one. True Detective, Deadwood, literally all of these are shows that my brother gets pissed anytime he's like, you still haven't watched that. Deadwood is one of them he's mentioned. True Detective, what's Mindhunter on Netflix? He's always telling me to watch that one. Haven't watched any of that. What's the other one? I feel like there was another one just recently where he was like, why have you not watched that? I can't remember. Severance. Yep. That's one that I haven't seen. Haven't seen Peaky Blinders. Haven't watched The Sopranos. That's another one. My brother's like, just watch The Sopranos, please. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's funny. Like there's so many of them that Seinfeld, I ain't watching it. I'm not gonna watch it. That's one that people have told me forever, like, oh, that's the best. No. I've never watched a full episode of Seinfeld, but I've seen enough to know that's not my bag. The Wire is another one of my brother's favorites ever. I've never watched it. This is so funny. He's gonna watch. He's never gonna watch this, but I will tell him about this and he'll be like, yeah, no shit. I've been telling you for years to watch all this stuff. Hold on. I feel like I just saw a missed one up here and then it all just went. There was something about zines. How many zines? Someone asked about zines and now I'm missing it, but I don't have as many zines as I have books, but I definitely have a lot of zines. I've got sort of different, there's 2 big totes over here that are full of zines, and then I've got a smaller box that I'm starting to fill up over here. But yeah, Curb Your Enthusiasm, that's another one. Never seen, but I've seen small parts, and I think I would probably enjoy it. But I don't know. Maybe I would get it and I would appreciate it more. And Larry David, I know that he's like, that's his whole thing, is that he's that guy. But I also, I don't know. I haven't seen enough to decide. Yeah, Kevin, let's watch True Detective. I've heard season 1 that's must watch. Always Sunny is a show that I've seen some episodes. I always love them, but I haven't watched all the way through. Star Wars, I've seen all of the movies. Or, well, no, I haven't seen all the main sequel movie or the main trilogy movies, like all 3 trilogies. I've watched those. Haven't seen all of the spin-offs and all of the shows, though. It got way too much for me. Marvel and Star Wars, the way those exploded, I got way like it was just too much all at once, and then it like burnt me out real fast on everything, I think. So I haven't watched a lot of that in years, but yeah. Do you think print could make a comeback after the dead internet theory? Oh man, everything is cyclical, you know? It's like everything all comes through or it all comes around. So who knows? It would be amazing. Hell yeah, Kevin. Love you, dude. Thanks for being here. Kevin says print never left. That's the thing though. Yeah, it's like it's always, will it ever be what it was? I don't think so, because, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like people are already really starting to, maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to tell, dude. Everything is bad these days. Not literally, because like, you know, there's so much good in the world, but man, it's chaos everywhere. Like it's so hard to predict anything right now. But yeah, it'd be amazing if we got a lot more print across everything than what we have now. Let me see here. Dune Part 1 and 2, never seen either of those. Weekend at Bernie's, never seen those. Oh yeah, sorry. Parks and Rec. Yeah, I'm trying to catch up here. Parks and Rec, I've watched many times over. I've seen that. That was one that that and The Office were 2 shows that my brother told me for years to watch, and I never did. And then when Molly and I started dating, she told me that Parks and Rec, she was like, this is the show for you. I guarantee it. And I was crying laughing the first episode when Leslie rolls backwards into the pit. Could not stop laughing. And yeah, ever since then, Parks and Rec has been like a comfort show for me. If I'm not feeling good, if I'm sick, and if I just need like background noise sometimes and I want to put a show on, Parks and Rec is always a good one for me. Let's see. If we're just throwing must-watch movies out, how about something that you won't ever see again? Chimes at Midnight by Orson Welles. Movies that I won't ever see again. A Serbian film. I watched a Serbian film with my old roommate whenever that came out. Watched it once. Never going to watch it again. And, yeah, awful. Let's see. Have to drop. Have a great week, everyone. Oh, yeah. Thanks for being here, Richard. I will. I got you on that if you're still here. Exactly. Yeah, I prefer my images to be still. Speaking of zines, Matt, how do you find zines that you end up buying? Do you have a list of photographers that you follow, or is there an online store where they are sold? That's actually a great question. And it's tough because I find myself buying more zines than I buy photo books. It seems like these days, just because they're always more affordable, and oftentimes like it's a much smaller run, and it's fun. They're not as serious. I don't know. I find myself much more inclined to just buy a zine on a whim because of the price. And so because of that, it's just like whoever I stumble across. Like I'm regularly looking at Baltimore Photo Space. If you go to baltimorephotospace.com, that's where I buy all of my photo books, or at least I try to. If there's something that they won't have, or if it's an older book that I buy secondhand, that's one thing. But if I'm looking for new books to buy, Baltimore Photo Space is like my number one place. I'm very close with Kyle and Tori, the owners, so there's my bias there. But it's a great shop, and they carry amazing selection of books. So most of the time I'm buying from Kyle and Tori's shop. There are other bookstores that I follow on Instagram, and I can't name. There's Satanta Books and Dashwood. There are other photo book stores and just art bookstores out there, but I follow the ones that I know of, and I just try to frequent those and like look back and look at what they have like on their shop, and then their email newsletters. They're like the only ones that I won't unsubscribe from. So those are like the ways I keep an eye as to what new books are coming out. Oh yeah, Mac, like Deadbeat Club. Thank you, Tim. Thanks for being here, Tim. Having the publishers themselves like subscribe to their newsletters so you see what they're putting out. All of that is great, but like the zines, most of the time it's just directly from the artist. So if you're not already exposed to them, or if you're not already following them, it's hard to know about the zines. So I don't have a specific place or like a list of people that I follow. I just, over 10 plus years, 12 years, I think 13 maybe now. Oh my God, that I've had this one Instagram account. Like I've been following different artists over the years, over that time. And if I find someone I like that is putting stuff out, I usually follow them. So that way I can keep an eye out for zines and smaller stuff like that. But yeah, just a matter of I guess, finding the artists that you really resonate with. And that's tough to just say, go find the artist that you follow, but that's how I typically have always bought them. So just try to keep an eye out for stuff like that. Look for different art communities, anyone that can kind of share the artists that you don't already know about. Let's see. Okay, now I'm caught up. I'm a camera operator for my day job, and I constantly reference Better Call Saul for beautiful framing. Yes, I love that. There are so many static shots on Better Call Saul that just look beautiful. And I've never been someone who gets like inspiration from movies, really. Someone asked me the other day what my like favorite David Lynch movies were, and I'm like, I genuinely can't tell you what David Lynch movies there are. I'm not like a film movie nerd, cinema nerd. I've just never I grew up watching Heavyweights and Mighty Ducks 2 over and over. You know what I mean? Like that's my wheelhouse. So I've never been someone who has like a regular, like, oh, I love this film because of how it looks and stuff. That's just never translated to photography for me. But watching Better Call Saul lately, like I mentioned, I was like, there's so many static shots that, and I've also noticed, which is kind of unrelated, but they hold their shots really, really long. And I'm not talking about like a one shot where they're following someone, which there is that really amazing one. I think it was at the beginning of season 3. That was amazing. But they hold their shots, and I've found myself having to like, you think a cut is coming, or something is going to happen, or some dialogue is going to happen. Like they really have a slow pace, and I've really come to appreciate that about it. So but anyway, that's a different thing. But in terms of how it's shot and how it looks, yeah, the static shots, it just looks amazing. And I feel like that's something that I want to pay more attention to. And I don't know. I feel like that is something I've never really tried to translate when it comes to like what I'm looking for while I'm out walking around. I don't know. It's just a different way for me, that a different way to like look at things that I haven't really done before, and I've just never been able to. I've always looked at my inspiration for photography has been photography, you know. I know other people benefit from films, and so I would encourage people to study that and see if that is something that, you know, they resonate with, but it never was for me. Didn't you and Molly dress up as Ron and Tammy? Yes, we did. Molly and I'm trying to think what year that was. We went as Tommy, or Tommy, Ron and Tammy too. I had my hair. She did the cornrows in my hair, and I shaved the middle part of my mustache. It was a whole thing. It was amazing. Let's see. The Platform on Netflix. Never seeing that again. How often are you scanning your Friday? Tyler, I've seen Friday. I've seen Friday, next Friday, and Friday after next. That's a trilogy I'm very, very familiar with. How often are you scanning your own film these days? With the family, it's got to be tough to find time, I'd think. Yeah, I've been scanning film not at all lately. I haven't developed film in a couple of months, mostly just because I've been out here again, and the temperatures out here to develop, there's no way. So now that my office in the house is a playroom, I also am not developing in there. So if I develop in the house, it's probably going to be in the kitchen or maybe the laundry room, and trying to find time to do all of that. I just haven't yet. So got 3 rolls. Actually, I think I've got a couple in my bag in the house. Maybe 3 or 4 rolls of 35 HP5 that still need developed. I've got 1 roll of gold 200 that was in my RZ before I let go of that. So I'm only sitting on a little bit of film. I don't have a ton that I'm sitting on right now, but we'll knock out some developing soon. And when I do, I'll be sure to, you know, document all of it, share it all here on the channel as usual. Asheville Camera Club just had a second zine printed. Oh, that's sick. Hell yeah. Man, I wish, like, I don't wish I lived in a bigger city because I love where I'm at, but I am jealous of people who have like a whole, you know, community of photographers and a shop in their town that they can, you know, all kind of congregate and get things together. That's rad. I want to do photo book nights. My dude Scotty in Louisville, they have photo book nights where him and other photographers meet and bring photo books. And I think they do it once a month, maybe, or every couple weeks. I don't know. But every time he posts about it, I'm like, God, that's amazing. I've got a whole bunch of books back here. But I want to be able to, I mean, doing it this way and doing it in the videos is one way of doing it. But the thing we all love about photo books, like actually having it in front of you, when friends come over and I get to recommend books and hand them the book and we get to sort of look at it and talk about it together, it's just so much more fun, I think. And it's like it at least for me, it energizes me more to go out and shoot. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, it's so much fun. House of Cards season 1 for its cinematography. That's another one I've never seen. But I feel like I remember people talking about that when it came out, just about how it was shot. Let's see. You learn more from a loss than a draw. That sounds familiar. I don't know what that's from, but that sounds familiar. Actual Source Books has good design books along with photo and film stuff. Actual Source Books. Make a note of that. Actual Source Books. I'll look into that one. I was quite impressed slash traumatized by The Lighthouse. That's another one I haven't seen, but I want to watch it just because I've seen I've seen memes and tons of gifs from it, but it just looks obviously like it would be one I would enjoy visually. New Nosferatu, I want to watch that. Nosferatu. What's the longest you've gone without taking photos? Oh man. I feel like in the last few years, there's probably been one of the times that I've gone the longest. Maybe, I don't know. Probably a solid like month and a half to 2 months. Like taking any photos, month and a half to 2 months would be pushing it. But probably around there. That would be like the absolute most, I would say, that it's been that I've gone without taking any. Man, that's hard to think about. I feel like it would probably be around that though. Month and a half, 2 months, like probably a winter one of these years. And I would say in the last few years, just where I've been like the busiest I've ever been, that's probably been a contributing factor as well. It's interesting that blocking isn't something that is spoken about in photography, being where the subject exists in a frame, but it's one of the fundamentals of composition and film. Exactly. See, that's the kind of thing that I always think about with there should be such a direct correlation between cinematography and photography, but the moving element changes so much of that. So when it is a locked off shot, you're able to control and play so much more of it. But I think maybe that's the aspect of it, is oftentimes things are moving. And I like putting things where they're supposed to be when I'm like framing things up. And video has always felt so much more just chaotic, but I enjoy shooting video when I haven't had a video job that I've been hired to shoot. Like I haven't made myself, available for that kind of stuff in years, but I used to really enjoy doing it because it was like, sharpening a different blade. It was something new to like try and figure out. And I feel like that's where I'm at right now, is like I want to, part of ADHD, I want to learn and dedicate time to a million different things and different interests that I have. And I make more time for it now than I used to. And I feel much better about that. Hey, this time we were doing it with the Osmo Pocket 3. I don't know what's going on now. Last week it was the Nikon. So I switched and I flipped it over to the Osmo Pocket 3 this week, hoping that we would not have any issues cutting out. For whatever reason, the camera, it's obviously plugged in, so it's not dead or anything, but it just went black and then it turned right back on. I believe it put me into 1080p. So I don't know why that's doing it. Maybe I can't be streaming for 4K past an hour. I have no idea. We're figuring out all of the kinks together on these live streams, everybody. Let me see here. What were we talking about right before all that cut out? Cinematography. Oh, ADHD, wanting to do all of the things. I have to find a balance between making time for all of these other creative outlets, because I want to do more than just photography. Like, I have one life and only so much time, so I want to do all these other things. But I also think, or I have this mindset where I'll sort of look at it as like, you're not being disciplined. You're spending all of your time playing with doing all these other things. Like, focus that on photography. And I'm like trying to find that balance because I'm always thinking in my head, I've been doing this for 20 years. I want to do other things too. But then there's also part of me that's telling myself, like, you're being distracted. You're not being disciplined enough to do the one thing. So I don't know. Lately, I've been like sort of in that space where I'm like finding that balance of, and I also think a lot of it comes down to identity and me. My identity as a photographer has been the majority of my life now, like it has been for several years now. Like the majority of my life, I've been carrying around a camera. So the way that that's tied to my identity in like every aspect, that's another big aspect of it, I think, for me, where I'm kind of, I don't know, midlife crisis, something like that. Let's see here. Jaden, on people on finding more community, I see you've got some recommendations here already, but yeah, man, get involved with if you have a camera shop nearby or anything like that, try and get involved and just make yourself available, you know, be out there. Who's your pick for the Royal Rumble? Oh man. Who do I think is going to win the Royal Rumble, or who do I want to win the Royal Rumble? I could see Jey Uso going this year. I don't know who I want to win yet, but that's who I think. That's my pick right now. Jeff, great to see you, man. Just now seeing this. In regards to print, he's saying one of the things that's motivated me the most lately is printing single editions of projects as nicely and considered as possible with zero intention of making more, selling them, etc. Learning to relish that basically nobody knows or cares about anything that I'm working on is quite liberating. That sounds incredible. I think that's one thing that I struggle with so much being online, like making YouTube videos. Like it's one of those things, it's a self-inflicted wound, obviously. Like I choose to share all of my stuff, and that's how I have made this YouTube channel, and it's how I do everything I do. And it's amazing because of that. Like I get fully immersed in all of it and I get to share it. And I've made all of these different like relationships with people. I get to spend so much time with my family because that's my job. Like this is my job and I can be home. All the different things I've talked about. It's amazing. But I think I struggle with the idea of the audience, and it wasn't something I had when it came to like personal work and things that photos I shot for myself. There was never an audience to that before I had like social media and a YouTube channel. The idea of this becoming like a job or anything that I would even do for fun was never like in the plans or something that I saw myself doing. So because of that, that has like completely changed my relationship with photography. Not just in my shoes, but like if you do portrait photography for a living, if you involve any sort of like income and making a living with your art, with your passion, whatever, you're playing with fire there. You know, it's really easy to get burnt out or to just completely kill your passion for something. And I don't know. I feel like for me, the passion is there, but the expectations, I think, is a part of me that like it keeps me from just being more free with it. And so that's something I've been working on, like getting better at in several years now. It feels like the last few years I've been more aware of it. And so I've tried to be more conscious of that. But sometimes that causes me to overthink even more because I'm aware of it. So Speaking of that, check out the book Beyond Thoughts by Joseph Wynn. It's amazing. My dude Trev recommended that one to me recently. It's a good one, especially when it comes to just spiraling or like ruminating on things and like overthinking things. That's a great one. Let's see. I'm getting out to take pictures this weekend here in Nashville. It's been like 20 to 35 degrees and colder than I want to put up with. Yeah, it's getting a little bit warmer here as well. I think this weekend we're going to be around in the 50s, and that like I'll be outside in a t-shirt all day probably. That sounds amazing. What's your opinion on longer lenses for the M mount? I recently picked up a 90mm Elmarit and I've been loving it. I got inspired by the first few pages of the latest Winogrand color book. That I fully get that. That's a great book. I did a video on it last year. The 90 Elmarit, I believe, is the 90mm I had briefly. The Tele Elmarit, I think, is what it was called, though. It was an older lens. That might be the one you're talking about. They've got different versions, but that's a great lens. The 90s, I feel like, are really underrated. They're great for adapting. I'll say that. I loved using, 90 Elmarit is awesome on the SL2. I like adapting the longer lenses to something with an EVF. If I use the longer lenses on the rangefinder, I find that I'm never fully happy with my composition, and oftentimes I'm much more likely to misfocus because it's that far away, unless I'm like, stopping the lens down. But for like portraits and stuff like that, if I want to shoot wide open, I found that adapting it to something like that works much better. But image quality wise, if that's what you're curious about, well, you've got one, they're great. Arthur Tress. What's up, Tyler? That's okay. Yeah. Rambles, Dreams, and Shadows. I'll look into that. Appreciate that, Tyler. Thanks for being here, man. Let's see. So far, didn't have any issues. Just have to be a bit more precise. Yep. Can't use, lower shutter speeds. Had a teacher in college that said that creativity isn't finite. It's a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it. It's well said. That's something that I don't know. Photography is such a different practice than any other, like drawing, painting, anything. Like the idea of being able to just create something out of nothing versus using the camera. And yes, there are a million different ways, but like the kind of photography I've always done has been just working with whatever is in front of me. And I've loved that about it. But anytime that I have kind of messed around with like sketching or like watercolor, every like 6 months to a year, I'll pick out like a sketchbook that I have, or, I'll grab some different art supplies and just like mess around for a little bit. Lately, I've been doing it more and trying to just like, if I have the idea to do it, I just try and get started immediately and give myself like 5 minutes, even if it's a matter of like a big pen and a legal pad and I'm on the phone and I'm just like doodling. That kind of stuff I'm trying to do more of, because I feel like, I'm trying to do more of it because for years I'll do it once and then I'll put it away and never touch it again. But the times that I have done it, I always find that so freeing at first, because I think, oh, I'm a photographer. I'm working with whatever's in front of me. It's not my fault the light isn't good this day. Like, this is just the light that I'm working with. You know what I mean? The idea of, oh, you can make it look however you want it to look sounds great in theory. But I feel like the full like freedom that you have is overwhelming to me. And that's something that I've been like, what do I start with? Like what I was talking about here earlier tonight, if I sit down in front of the camera to record a video and it's Yep. We're back. We're doing it this way. Let me know if you see me again. We'll be back to the good old-fashioned webcam, just like last week. I don't know what the issue is now. Last week, it was the Nikon Z8, which one new video on this is coming out tomorrow. So you'll see that. I sat here and just brain dumped all of the thoughts and everything on the Z8 because I've gotten so many questions about it. That'll be up tomorrow. Last week, though, I was using that, had so many issues. This week, I've got the Osmo Pocket set up. It's plugged in USB-C the same way it always is for the webcam. And I don't know. I don't know why the issues are happening, but we'll figure it out. In the meantime, I'll just keep running the webcam here. Yeah, latency problems. I'm wired in. That's the thing. I have no idea. Solid internet connection. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but regardless, we're back. I'm glad it doesn't just completely get rid of everything. I'm glad that I'm at least able to just refresh and we can pick back up. So let's see. Vincent, what's up, dude? Good to see you in here. Yeah, longer lenses on rangefinder is tough. I have the 150 for the Mamiya 6, but I'm not a huge fan of the experience. Yeah, exactly. Man, the Mamiya 6, that's such a fun one. The thing's great. Overthinking is very not fun. Jaden says, yeah, it sucks. That's why I started meditating. Yeah, that goes a long way for sure. 41 degrees Celsius here. Oh, man. 41 Celsius? Jesus. That's a burner. Sorry I'm so vocal today. Creativity. My next YouTube video is about sketching with photography. For some reason, we as photographers only publish bangers and the sketching process can be lost. Well said. That's very well said, Alex. That idea of like you're just kind of playing around. I feel like with point and shoot cameras, I'm much more likely to kind of look at it in the same way where it's just a point and shoot camera. Click. I don't have to think about focusing, exposure, any of that. I see something, I just want to grab it, and that's it. I feel like that's really helpful for me, having a small camera like that. But it's something that I don't do enough of. I always look at it as like, whatever, I just use the one camera I've got with me, but it's dumb how much of a difference that makes. Like just having a small point and shoot camera, you're so much more likely to just grab it. I don't know. It's weird. And I go through periods where I don't use my phone camera that much. Like most of my phone photos, it's just quick photos of the kids to Molly and I text back and forth to each other all day long as if we don't see them and spend time with them nonstop. We're just constantly doing that. But I don't really like make as much use of the camera as you would think, or as maybe I should. I don't know. Lately, though, I've been using the Z8 a lot. I've been using the M6 as well, but I've been shooting with the Z8 mostly for work, but I've been using it for personal stuff, mostly to kind of like get familiar with it and just get more comfortable with the camera. And despite it being just a big tank, and I usually don't have the 24-70 on if I'm just shooting around the house, but I do really, really love this thing. I've enjoyed it a lot. Ryan Booth has a really good video on his YouTube channel about going and shooting one lens, one location, 1 hour, and sketching. Oh, that sounds cool. Then print and put them away. I like that idea. I like the idea of just being able to like catalog it and move on to the next thing and just have it for later. One thing that I want to do, I kind of was thinking about doing it tonight, but in all honesty, I needed to run inside the house and get some coffee before the stream started, and I kind of forgot. But I was going to go through some negatives, and just while we were kind of catching up, and just kind of flip through, looking for stuff to flag, basically, like mark things that I know I want to scan later. But I don't know. I don't know how well I'd be able to do that on stream while being able to keep up conversations and keep up with the chat. I don't know, but I have so many binders that I just haven't gone through yet. And I want to spend more time actually looking at the photos that I've shot over the years. Having a decent point and shoot has meant I've shot much more film in the last year so that I've had it, plus more photos of friends and family. That's a nice bonus as well. I feel like you do get more, and even photos like of yourself, of the photographer. When I have a point and shoot, someone, a friend, one of the kids, like they're more likely to pick it up and take a photo as well. It's just a more shared experience. It's a lot like Polaroid photography, just instant film in general in that way. Z8 equals DSLR form factor, 1000%. This thing is, let me grab my M6 here for comparison. This thing is huge and one of the most comfortable cameras ever. So, M6. And then the Z8. The grip on this thing is just massive. Yeah, super, super comfortable. I mean, I love the M6, but I've got a thumb rest there. If it wasn't for that, I don't know. But the Z8, yeah, that grip it feels a lot like my old D800, D700, all of those. Oh man, yeah, up to 100 July and August. Yeah, the humidity here is rough. The humidity down south is even worse. Yeah, I typically like the colder months more. The older I've gotten, that's typically how it's been. I enjoy the heat and humidity less. I think that's just because we haven't really had real bad winters the last few years. It's been pretty tame, but this year I'm like my dad this year. I'm grumpy as hell because of all of this snow and ice. My dad was the grumpiest old man every single winter. If he couldn't be outside, he was miserable. That was just how he was. You know, too much stuff to do, too many things to be working on, to be dealing with cold weather. And this winter, January in particular, it's just been nothing but the snow is finally starting to melt now, but everything is just solid ice because it's been so cold. And it's painful to be outside, and haven't been able to work in here, haven't been able to get out and shoot as much. This has been one of those winters where I'm like, all right, I'm over it. I don't care how hot it gets. Say that now, but yeah, I don't know. I think this year I'm going to enjoy summer a little bit more after the winter we've had. Any advice on helping someone be comfortable in front of the camera? Probably doing some college grad photos for my friend in a few months. Oh, awesome. Well, if it's your friend, you've got that, working in your favor. That was how I got started with like my first job, or doing portraits for a living. It was like senior pictures for my friends, while we were in high school. So if it's for a friend of yours, automatically use that to your advantage. They'll be more comfortable with you than they would be with a stranger. But yeah, don't take it too serious. Don't stress it. Don't make it don't make it any more than what it is. You know what I mean? You're just there to get some photos of them celebrating something. So like, look at the entire day as that, and not, oh, we have to get these pictures and it has to be this and it has to be that. You know, try and let your friend just be themselves, you know. Just got my first film camera. I don't have a light meter yet. Is using a cell phone app viable, or should I get a dedicated one? Yes, a cell phone app is totally viable, especially to get started. As you get more into it, if you really love film photography and you're having a blast with it and you just want to use a physical light meter and learn how to use it and just have one, fully worth picking one up. Absolutely. But don't feel like you have to. You can totally start with a free phone app, and that will get you absolutely close enough. One thing you will find out, unless you're out there shooting Velvia 50, most film is going to be, if you're in the ballpark, it's most of the time it's good enough. You don't have to be a like seasoned professional in order to shoot any given roll of film. It's just a matter of, you know, as long as you're in the ballpark, you'll be fine. That's all I need to say, I guess. starting to just ramble. I was in the process of moving and accidentally damaged my copy. A friend of mine. Oh no. I apologize, man. That's awesome. Or that's awful. That's awesome. Yes, absolutely. Shoot me an email and we'll get that swapped out for you. No problem. I feel that the outdoors is nourishment for me, and not being able to go out as much is depressing at times. Yeah, absolutely depressing. I need to be able to get outside. The kids do as well, for sure. They're going crazy just being cooped up. Recently got a copy of Jay Meisel's Light Gesture Color and think I'm learning more from this book than any other. That sounds really familiar. I feel like I may have seen that book at Midwest Photo in Columbus before. Portrait photographer. Am I right in thinking that? That name sounds familiar, if I remember right. I'll look into that one, though. I'm curious if you were ever tempted to do those photography influencer exotic trips to Germany or Spain, etc. Probably difficult with family, etc., but I'm sure you have had your offers. Yes, Anthony. Where did they go? There was one within the last few years that a few friends went on, and I got invited to go, and it was like, hey, can you go? Here are the dates. I don't have a passport. That's my issue. I've started the process, and then it like, I can't remember. There was some issue in getting something done. It's been too long that I don't remember, but I tried to get my passport at some point. Something happened, stopped. And then that company hit me up. I can't remember where they were going. Starts with an A. I'm blanking on it, but my friends, Nick Carver, he was on it. Taylor Pendleton, she was on it. Trying to think who else went on that one. I'm sure I'm missing people. But I've been invited to do stuff like that. And that one, I was kind of interested in going, but the timing, it was the whole, yes, it was in Spain. Lucas. I'm trying to think. Yes, Jason did one as well. That's it. Yeah, that one I was interested in, but the timing, I knew it wasn't going to work in order of like trying to figure out one, getting the passport, getting childcare figured out, help for Molly with the kids. It was a lot. And that's the only like photography trip thing. That was the first time I've ever been like offered something like that, I think, was that one. And I wasn't able to do that. I've been invited to do like other trips, not specifically to go out and shoot photos. Like that was the first time I've ever been offered something like that. And I thought that sounded amazing. But other trips I've been invited on that I've wanted to go on, I haven't been able to as well. I've been invited to Germany like twice. It was twice. But both times there were things happening, family stuff going on that I wasn't able to go. Um, Eventually, at some point, I'm sure I will, but it is tough with the kids, any kind of travel, like staying within the country, going for a couple of days is a lot. I'm pretty sure every trip I've been on since the kids were born, I've had a panic attack on each trip. Maybe not a full-blown panic attack, smaller anxiety attacks for sure, but like there have been some where it's like full-blown, like I'm puking because of the idea of like being that far away from my kids. If anything were to happen, knowing that I couldn't just be home right away will send me into a spiral. I'm much better about it now than I used to be, but I mean, I still struggle with any bit of travel. Tyler can attest to that. He's seen me like have full-blown anxiety attacks while I'm like in public and just sweating through it, just straight faced. Tyler can attest to how real it gets at times. But yeah, it's traveling is tough, man. It's I don't know. It's one of those things that I never used to want to travel when I was like growing up, and I'm glad that I'm able to now, and I appreciate traveling much more now, but it's hard, man. Um, Something like that, the Spain thing, that was like I had to entertain the idea at least because, you know, it'd be crazy not to, but I don't know. It'd be tough. Let's see. Get caught up here. Bank heist. Have you got a hot tip for finding inspiration when you're feeling uninspired? I'm trying to find a balance of being free with my film, but also not throwing money away at any old thing. Inspiration when you're uninspired. I mean, for me, looking at my favorite, like trying to think back to when I first got into photography and like what really sparked that passion. What was I interested in shooting? What was I interested in looking at? Try and tap back into that. And I guess that can look a million different ways for everybody, but lately for me, I try to like, I don't know, when I got started, not necessarily with photography, maybe when I just started like taking my work more serious, I guess. I've tried to like think back to being at that stage again and not knowing things that I know now or having the experience that I have now, and like trying to imagine myself or imagine seeing myself now where I was. It's like, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm trying to think the best way to put it into your shoes, because all I can speak to is my own experience. But I try to think back to, if I'm not feeling inspired, like what drew me to this in the first place? And how can I, if I had the resources that I have today when I first got started, what would I do with those resources? I think that's what I'm trying to say. And I apologize. I'm so scatterbrained trying to do it. This is where the benefits of editing come in for making videos. But if I had the cameras that I have today, if I had the amount of film I have today, like it's hard because back then I was a kid, now I'm an adult and I have things, you know, like that's that the access is much better. But when I first got into it, if I had the freedom to just go out and shoot whatever I wanted with the experience and knowledge, I try to just think about that as like, you know, what would you have wanted to shoot, or what were you into shooting when you got into it? I don't know. Vincent, 100% tapping back into the essence of how things started is huge. Connecting back to that is something I always do. Okay, so I'm not totally off base here. I appreciate that, Vincent. That's how it feels for me. Like I try to think about younger me, and at least here lately, like I've tried to think about how I spend my time, and not day to day, as in like I'm just gonna go have fun all day. You know, like you've got responsibilities. Everyone does. But when I think about me engaging with photography and being a photographer, I think, how am I actually spending that time? Am I engaging with photography simply by consuming it and like thinking about it? Or am I spending my time using my hands, like hands on the camera, hands in the film, scanning the film, editing the scans, editing the photos, whatever? Like, am I physically engaging with it, or is it just taking up mental space? You know, it's so easy to just get full of all of your photography content on social media. Like, it's so easy to just all of that be too much, and it takes away the time that you're actually doing. So for me, I want to think about like how I'm spending my time as a photographer. Um, yeah, that's something that I don't know. I, yeah, I think that's all I've got on that answer. I hope that makes sense. But trying to tap into that and think about like really what you're doing and not just what you're thinking, you know, because it's easy to get stuck in the whole not feeling inspiration. You're not tapped into it. It's easy to try and think your way back in. But I've found the hard way that it really, you have to be doing, not just thinking it. So I hope that makes sense, man. I get it. Trust me. Any advice for getting used to a new camera lens? Just got an M2 and a Color Scope R combo. Hell yeah, congrats. The 35 Color Scope R was my first lens for my M6. Getting used to the new camera and lens, just shoot every single day, no matter what you're doing. If you're not leaving the house, or if you're going on a trip, like keep the camera with you, have the camera strap on, and like wear the camera. Don't keep it in your bag. If you're at home, don't keep it in your bag or put it up. If you're going sitting on the couch and you're grabbing your phone and you're grabbing, like, bring the camera with you. Just keep it with you at all times. If you're not at home, or if you're at home and you're not going anywhere and you know you're not going to be shooting, sit there and practice loading the film back and forth. Load it and then, unload it, load it back. Just keep doing that. Practice your distance, like figure out how far away something is, and then use that sort of like just get used to knowing your distances as well. That's going to come as a huge help with shooting with a rangefinder if you want to stop the lens down and just scale focus, or being able to know where the focus tab on the lens is, knowing where that distance is. If you're looking to like document something and you need to capture something fast, you're not just taking your time, it'll come into handy with that as well. If you're not under pressure to produce anything, it could also be helpful to just not think about it or shoot anything at all for a while. Trying to force inspiration is tough. Well said, Jeff. Yeah, you can't think your way through it. It's like you've gotta just do, or yeah, just let yourself take the time. That's something that I think would probably benefit from if it weren't involved with my job. Like, the idea of me taking time away completely from photography sounds scary, but it sounds like it could be helpful for me. I feel like it would be a challenge to like fully step away and not use my cameras, not think about photography. To not think about it would be impossible, I feel like. But to just really let myself like not engage with it at all for, a few months, I feel like that could be really beneficial for me. But it's always been such a big part of it that I don't really know any other way. You know what I mean? Let's see. Yeah, I feel this thing's getting to be too much. I took down all my vids and restarted to tap back into my true self. Oh man, I didn't realize that, but honestly, I get it. I fully get it. The idea of me being able to, well, here's the thing. I have the idea all of the time that at any given moment, I can just make whatever videos, however I want to make them. It's my channel. I have the freedom. I know I have that, and I recognize that, but it's still hard knowing that that expectation. And I think doing this helps. One thing that I've talked about in a million videos over the years has always been, well, I don't know how I come across in these videos, because you guys are just seeing these edited videos, and I'm choosing what you're seeing and how you're seeing it. That's always been in my mind. And so I've always been, I guess, just like not cautious, but I've been conscious of that. And like I'm always curious when I meet people, like how I come across in comparison in person versus video, because it's hard to like do this and talk to a screen and not or talk especially to the camera. Not, this is different when I'm talking to the camera and there's no feedback. It's hard to know how you are. It's hard to feel like, is this how I normally talk? But doing this, I think, is really helpful for me because it's that back and forth, and when I'm struggling to think, as I do all the time, you all see that. And there's this like vulnerability that live streams require, that there is no safety net of editing, or the dozens of times I've sat down to record, start recording, restart about 10 times, and then go, whatever, I'm not doing this video. And then it's done and no one ever sees it. And then I just like wallow in that, because I'm like, oh my God, I can't even do this right, and da 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 da. Like, for me, I struggle with that. And so this aspect of it, where the camera cutting out and everything, like, it is what it is. There's something about this that I feel like is really helpful for me. There's almost like this I don't know, the accountability, I guess, now, like every week knowing you all are going to be here. That's a cool feeling. And like seeing the same people and like talking to you all each week, that helps me a lot, I think, more than I thought it would, and also more than you probably realize. So, oh man, Vincent, I appreciate that, man. That means a lot. I don't know. I'm so grateful for YouTube and everything that I've gained through just deciding to like talk to a camera. It's changed my life, obviously, and the relationships that I've made from it, this kind of thing, like, it's beautiful. And when I look at my own channel, I have to not tear it apart the second I look back at the last 10, almost 11 years now that I've had my YouTube channel. I don't know there's this aspect of like, I've been growing up in front of all of you and like navigating life in front of all of you, and I don't know. It's again self-inflicted. Like I choose to put all this stuff, and it's not that I wish I hadn't. I think it's like looking back at that long, knowing that I've just not been. I haven't. Oh, I don't know. I talked about it recently in a video. It's just such a. It's hard to put into words where I've tried to like be as much of myself as I can over the years, because that's like the one thing that if I get anything right, I just want to be myself. And that's gonna probably set me back in other areas because I won't just, I don't know, lean in and make it YouTube being what it is today. Like, I don't know. I feel like now I'm just rambling, but it's been weird. It's been very weird for me to look back at the last 10 years and be like, damn, I hope I did all right. I hope you all have enjoyed this, and I hope I've made some sort of positive like impact, or just like made a positive space for something. I don't know how to word it, but I didn't expect to still be here this many years later. You know what I mean? Like looking at when I started, I definitely didn't think I would still be doing this. And I don't know. I didn't have an end game in mind when I started my YouTube channel. So I didn't know what it was going to look like, and I didn't plan for it. And I don't know. It's really weird that it feels like I just kind of got lucky and like stumbled into this thing where I don't know. It doesn't feel like I was working on anything over the years. And so because of that, you guys are awesome. I appreciate you. See, now this is the kind of thing where I'm like actively avoiding. I'm seeing the chat and I'm like actively avoiding it because I don't do well with that kind of stuff. Yeah, appreciate it. YouTube is weird. It's yeah, it's been crazy. I appreciate that. If someone was asking about the FM2, I hope my video is helpful for sure. That's awesome. I'm up late listening to you ramble and loving it. I'm easily distracted, ADHD, so you must be onto something. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, this is what it's about. I appreciate that. Thank you. If I could get a cover of any magazine, which one is it? Oh man. It wouldn't be a skateboarding magazine. Well, it wouldn't be any of the big magazines. It would probably be one of like my friends' skate magazines. Check out Anomaly Mag by Kevin Horn. Check out Golden Hour by Matt Price. Check out Closer. That's like my favorite skate magazine right now. Jamie Owens has a magazine called Closer. That one is probably, show you some of the covers here. I think, where are they? Yeah, here we go. Super clean, just letting the photos speak for themselves. Every cover, that's insane. Pretty sure Anthony Acosta shot this one. Let me see. Front cover, yep, Anthony Acosta. Amazing. Another one, that's psychotic, like insane. Every cover of this magazine is so good. I think, was this issue? No, this was 2, volume 2. Super sick. Little pivot fakie on this. What is that? Who knows what the actual piece of material is. Yeah, here's some Kevin's Magazine Anomaly. Another rad one. There's a lot of great photography and great things still being made. They're just not everywhere. You know what I mean? There's people putting out really rad stuff, all just for the love of it. But yeah, you just got to find it. Anomaly Mag, super sick. Was this issue 1? Pretty sure this might have been one of them. Love it. Yeah. It would probably be something like this, one of these magazines that are just doing it right. You know what I mean? It's not just full of every page being an advertisement. A lot of it is just, this is rad. Like, this is one of my favorite photos that Kevin has shot. All of the red right here. Look at that. Oh, that's so good. Can't see. Look at that. Come on. Amazing. Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff. Yeah, check out. Oh, Daniel, what's up, man? Thanks for being here, dude. Yeah, check out Anomaly Mag. Kevin Horn. Good dude. What else? I'm trying to think of some other magazines. Probably one of those, though. Probably Closer. Please tell me that's HP 5 at 1600. Knowing Kevin, that's probably Tri-X. If I had to guess, it's probably Tri-X right there. Those covers remind me of a video called The Eternal Beauty of Snowboarding, the more painterly filmic style of photography. Everyone should watch that film just for the ending slideshow. I'll look into that. Let me grab... Where are we at? No. Oh, I'm looking. Looking at the wrong one. That would be in. Did I let someone borrow it? In. Here we go. Sorry, that took a while. Fred, he goes by French Fred. In skateboarding, he's always been known as French Fred, but Fred Mortain. Apologies. This is one that I don't think, I know I've shared it on the channel before. Fred's skate photography is, I mean, he's a photographer, if that makes sense. This isn't just skateboarding, but super Ralph Gibson in a lot of ways. This, shooting the photo in the puddle. Fred is really, really good. Here's one actual skate photo. So it's not all skate photos. There's a lot of stuff in here that is a little more abstract. So he has a lot of this kind of stuff, but he'll pair it with skateboarding. And let me find some really good ones in here. I mean, they're all rad, but this is for sure. So what you're seeing, all of those lines, that's all just shadows in this half pipe here from the lines above. Like, couldn't be, and you can see the skater, you know, it's not about the specific trick that they're doing. Jesus, we need to get the overhead rig going. It's not about the specific trick. It's just like any trick there would be great. Ray Barbie, one of the best human beings on the planet. This is a great book. I do not know what this means right here. But that's the title of the book. And came out probably, well, this says these are photos from 2000 to 2015. So it probably came out around 2000, or around 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. But yeah, that is the title of it. And that is Fred's name. I believe on Instagram, he's just at French Fred. Look him up. He's amazing. You need a show notes page. Yes, I do. Alex, shoot me a message. I need to make a running list of all of the things that would be beneficial here as the viewer, because that's the kind of stuff I need to figure out. Oh, that's awesome. Ray, Barbie, you, Templeton, and Ardo make it hard for me to not one day pull the trigger on an M6. It's funny. Oh, yes. Caught in flight. That makes sense, Mel. Thank you. That would make, I believe, yeah, it probably says it in the introduction of the book as well. It's been years since I've actually read that part. But Alex, shoot me a message. What's wrong with that? Is I don't know what you're saying. I need to figure out the show notes, like all of that kind of stuff. I need to figure out for this. A place to share links. I need to get the OBS stuff figured out so that I can have different cameras running. If they'll actually stay connected, you know, I don't know. I've got a bunch of stuff like that. Need to figure it out. Fangirl. No need to do that. Is there any up-to-date? Oh, Patreon is still not doing its thing. I still can't figure out why I can't do why I can't access my account when it keeps sending me to some other Matt Day. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Yeah, get one camera working consistently. That's the thing. Who knows? But that's the goal, is to have working live stream cameras and be able to grab a book off the shelf just like that when something comes up. Because that's when people come over. I kind of talked about it earlier. When people come over and they're talking about something, that will make me think of a book, and I can just be like, oh, boom, grab the book, and then we can be talking about it the same way we do it here. I want to be able to do that on the live stream. I just need everything to be working properly. So I don't know. We'll get there. We'll figure it out. Did I hear you say that rangefinder has become harder given aging eyes? I'm hitting that a bit with my M11. Sucks. So there's something about a digital Leica, digital M, that the different magnification compared to my M6, I've always found it harder to focus on a digital M than a film M. And I don't know why that is, like what the difference in the magnification is there, but that's something that I've struggled with more in, I guess, recent years. Like on the M11, that was the first time I realized, like, yeah, I'm not shooting as quickly as I normally would be with my M6, or in that case, in a digital camera with, either autofocus or using an EVF. Yeah, deep breaths and one step at a time. Work one camera at a time for sure. Hey Matt, love your content, especially the prints. Thank you, Amani. I appreciate that. Do you set aside a budget for books, or do you go out on a limb when you find a good one? Yeah, it's pretty much going out. When I see a book that I really want, I'll grab it. Usually, lately I've let go of more books, and I've bought less books in the past. I would say honestly, the last year I've bought far less books than I did in previous years. Just one time, like the time to actually be sitting down with the books, but also just children are much more expensive than books. Looking to transition off Instagram and buy more books too. Yeah, I love that. That's the way to do it. I just don't feel good after I've been sitting there scrolling on any app, you know. I feel much better after looking at books. Yeah, Edward, I don't know what it is with the differences with the digital Leica and the film M's. It's so much, I don't know. I feel like the magnification, there's something there that makes it easier for me to focus. I don't know. When you go out to shoot, do you tend to have a location in mind, or do you just go off spontaneity? Around here, I really just wander. I've known this area for so long that, yeah, I typically just wander, and the light, wherever the light is and how the light is looking, that'll help dictate things. But yeah, I like to let myself just wander and not try to think too much about it, because I never know what I'm looking for to begin with. I'm just trying to keep my eyes open. The books are just added insulation for the barn. Yeah. Vibes are good in here. Stoked I could join the party tonight. Hell yeah. Appreciate you being here. Matt, hopefully Nathan gave you a copy of a book I made for you. Yes, Daniel, I've got that. I appreciate that. Yeah, your Uncle Zach is the man. Lindsay's Bakery is amazing. If anyone here is ever passing through Circleville, Ohio, be sure to stop by Lindsay's Bakery. Amazing donuts. Anthony, yeah, both are the 0.72 magnification, but there's something about, and I don't know what it is, because it feels to me like the actual patch on the digital, like the it's harder for me to see the actual rangefinder patch. Not meaning like it's not showing up, but like the visibility of the actual patch and where things are lining up. I feel like it's easier for me to see that on my M6 than on the digital M's. And I don't know why that is. Any pro tips for using an MP240 at night? I struggle to get good shots. I guess it depends on what you're struggling with. Are you struggling with like the files at like high ISO, or is it the focusing? What is it you're struggling with? If I'm not mistaken, the 0.72 on the digital. Okay, so that could be it. Yeah, I'm not sure. High ISO. Yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can do with whatever any given camera is capable of in terms of the high ISO performance and things like that. But nowadays in Lightroom, if you're dealing with high ISO and it's too noisy, if you use Lightroom, their like denoise feature is surprisingly like pretty good. It'll basically, it's not just the noise reduction, but it's the actual denoise feature. I don't know if you use Lightroom or if you've tried that. But there have been like, I don't use it all of the time. It's very, very rare that I need to, but if there's any particular photo where I have to bump the ISO up like absurdly, where it's definitely going to be noticeable, you're just seeing too much noise, using that in a pinch can help a decent amount. So maybe give that out, or give that a shot. Quick tech question. I'm about to mix a gallon of D76. What's the longest shelf life you've experienced with working solution? That is tough for me to say because it's been well over a decade since I've used D76. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to misspeak on something as crucial as like working chemicals. Um, man, yeah, I would say just going off my gut, if it's been sitting for longer than 3 months, I would not use it. And I could be way off on that. So please do a little bit of Googling as well, but look into that. Yeah, I'd develop with HC110 or Ilfotec HC. Switched to Ilfotec HC for a long time, but then the prices are crazy here in the States. So lately I've been using Kodak HC110 again. But I like using those developers because I can mix it up from the concentrate right when it's time to develop. I pour that down the drain, and then I'm only using a little bit of the developer at a time to mix up the working solution. So you don't have to worry as much about mixing up stock like that and like testing it, making sure it's still going. So that's why I like the using developers like that. Matt saw you with an M lens and looks like it's not a Leica. Oh yeah, I had a 35 Ultron, but right now the only lens I have for the M6 is the Voigtlander Nocton. I did a video on this probably 6 months ago, I'd say at least. Super good lens, especially for the price. Throw one of these little 7 Artisans rubber focus tabs on the bottom of it, and it's great. Oh yeah, the price. That's why you switched to the D76. That makes sense for sure. Yeah. That's what when I first developed film for the first time. It was in a photo class at the community college, and that was with D76. That's what I learned with. I just realized it's been 2 hours. I didn't realize it's been that long on here. I appreciate you all hanging with me. I am probably going to wrap it up here. I've got a little bit more work I'm going to finish here tonight before I pack it in and go inside and get some sleep. Nowadays, especially that I'm home during the school days while Molly's at work and the kids are at school, I'm home with Forrest. And then Molly and the kids get home, and I don't want to be working then because the kids are home. So we're playing. Elliot and I, he's got me playing Fortnite with him. So we've been doing that a bunch lately. So yeah, a lot of my working hours lately have been after the kids have gone to bed. So I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to finish up a little bit more stuff out here, call it a night, and we'll be back next week. Let me last ones here. Appreciate you, Vince. Thank you. Everyone being here. I appreciate all you guys. This is amazing. There was one, I thought I saw one last. Okay, yeah. Still got any medium format film bodies at the moment? No, I do not. Not even a Holga at this point. I am down to the bare minimums. I've got my M6. I've got Polaroid i2 and Nikon Z8. Like, other than my Minolta and, older cameras, things like that I'm not using, that are just ones that I'll keep. That's what I'm working with these days. So, yeah, appreciate all of you being here. Seriously, you're all amazing. One of these days we'll get a stream going where we won't have any single camera cutouts at all. But yeah, appreciate all of you guys being here. And yeah, I'll see you next week as well as tomorrow. Video on the Nikon tomorrow, as well as a video on Magnum contact sheets, probably Friday. Yeah, check the videos out if you're interested. Love all of you guys. Thank you for being here. And I will see you guys next week.